everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ramble On Movie Review. I am Vlad St. Valentine, and with me is the human representation of Freakazoid, Mr. Joseph Bowen. What's going on?
Not much. I like that. I'll take that.
Yeah. Joseph was actually kind enough to realize that we needed a higher production value on this show. And as kind of a, not really a traditional movie review channel, more of a video blog sort of thing, or video podcast almost sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like to think of it more of like a talk show type thing. And Joey decided that we needed our own band. So play us in, Joey. Now, the advantage of that is I don't have to make annoying banter with it afterwards.
Nope, not at all.
So that's good.
It is what it is.
We're on production, of course, is the host with Hermosis, Mr. Caden Ramos.
How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Just hanging out, watching Joey buy things to put on camera that are green.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't think about the green until it was too late. But I was like, I already walked out of the store with green stuff. So I was like, yeah, well, whatever. We'll fix it in post.
Well, everyone came out tonight to do our punishment, our pay-per-view punishments. We are one behind on because of the weather and other conditions and people's cars being broken and every bit of life just befalling one of us each week, it seems. But this week we were supposed to do a double feature of Garfield: A Tale of Two Kitties.
I'm sorry. I chose that movie. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to win. I'm just going to say Garfield 2. And then I got the message I won. I was like, oh, hell, we got to watch Garfield.
But since Reggie chumped out on us once again, we are stuck with having to postpone our punishment videos once more. So we thought we'd do what we did last time we had to postpone a punishment video, which was do a movie in one of my favorite series of movies, Puppet Master. And I promised we would get to Puppet Master 2, this batshit insane movie that has got nothing to do with the rest of the series. And damn it, we're here. Because this movie has got several things in it that are actually key to the Puppet Master franchise and things that should be lauded, but nothing in it goes along with the rest of the series.
I don't know the series. So this is all I know is what we just watched.
I thought you had seen the first one. It's just been a while.
It's been a long time. Yeah, I don't really remember the first one too well.
It's the same kind of plot. A group of people go to the hotel and a dead guy kills them by using the puppets.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, if you watch our review on it, you'll be able to see.
Yeah, if you watch the videos on this channel, maybe you might actually, know what's going on. Just saying.
Good point.
So we start this movie off with the puppets digging up Andre Toulon, who apparently was buried in a coffin that resembles a giant chest. Like, he's like, I want to be buried in a coffin that resembles my puppet's chest, or
Samsonite luggage.
Yeah, well, he apparently was just buried right outside the hotel. Like, they didn't bother to ship his body back.
Yeah, there's a cemetery there.
There's not even a cemetery. Do you see any cemetery?
Yeah.
They just took Grandpa out back in one of his trunks and threw him in a fucking hole.
No, there's a cemetery. They showed like headstones and.
Did they?
Yeah, there's some headstones.
I didn't even see that.
I think all the headstones just had one name on them. I don't think any of them had like first and last name.
I thought they just threw Pop on a ditch behind the dining hall.
No, even
he had a good run.
How would they know? Like, no one came to claim him in 20 days, so.
We're just gonna bury him in the backyard with the dogs and the turtles.
Well, yeah, they keep the bodies that are lost and found in the freezer.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. After 20 days they're not claimed, they get buried in their own suitcases.
He was still in the okay.
At the end of that movie, yeah.
I forgot about that. Homeboy is still in there with the frozen vegetables.
Yep.
Yeah, his sister forgot about him too. Yeah, but the puppets wake Toulon up, they dig him up, and it looks like they just woke him up at the the hotel cemetery that they have out back because why not, right?
Well, it's over there kind of by the tennis court and the swimming pool and the cemetery.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's one of the many leisures.
Well, high-end hotels like this will frequently have all the amenities.
Oh, yeah, even
And especially since like the interior of this place looks like it's frequented by nothing but old people, they are likely to die while staying there. And because of their likelihood to die, you got to have your own personal cemetery.
you have to, yeah.
Yeah. So, and like and if you get like the package deal with the hotel, the plot is not that expensive.
Shouldn't be.
Like, no, you can get a room, a plot, and be shoved into your own suitcase and buried for under $100,000.
Oh, easy, yeah.
And that's a deal you can't
And
beat.
if you time your death just right, you still got the continental breakfast.
Oh yeah.
That's a good way to go.
Oh yeah, man. A stale bagel and an orange that you're not going to actually eat. And you like peel a little bit of it, but then you remember that you fucking hate oranges and peeling them's a pain in the ass. And so you just kind of leave the peel lying about with the orange.
You also got the waffle maker and stuff like that.
Oh, you're not in any kind. Wait, what fancy place for you that had a waffle maker? Every continental breakfast I ever saw, like if it was a good continental breakfast,
Yeah.
you got the individual packs of cereal.
Oh, they had those too. Right one, yeah.
That was when you got a good continental breakfast. Other than that, it was like a brown banana, an apple, an orange, and some stale ass bagels that I'm pretty sure all of it was there from the day before and not changed out. So
They wake up the guy
they wake up Andre Toulon, the puppet master, who
with rancid eggnog. That woke the dude. According to my notes, rancid eggnog wakes the dude.
okay, so the plot
Question mark.
the plot here is basically this. The puppets are starting the serum that's used to bring them back to life, to reanimate them, is starting to wear off. They need more. So they dig up the puppet master, Andre Toulon, the one that gave them life in the first place, be like, hey man, it's been, as he keeps saying, another 50 years. If they use the serum, it'll keep them going for another 50 years. So I'm guessing it's supposed to be wearing off. Cause I mean, if it was, 1943 or so when this happened, or the late 40s, I guess by that point.
Mhm.
Means 50 years, that'd be the late 90s. So
Well, this was shot this was put out in 90. So yeah, they're like, oh, we got 5 or 6 more years until we go inert. So
Yeah, and they had to gather up all the brains. So yeah, it would be a good enough time to.
So yeah,
couple more
this is
years
something
to
that's
make more movies too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something else that's never established in any of their films. The juice, basically, I think later on is looking kind of like a reanimator, just kind of a clear green liquid,
Mhm.
and it's nothing sinister. There's no child brains staring it, Not that little bastard didn't deserve it. Like, he totally did. Playing Indiana Jones without a hat. What kind of cocksucker does that? So yeah, for that
Whipping
reason,
that poor shirtless toy.
for that reason and that reason alone,
He
that
getting dressed in real
that-
sexy like too.
that 7-year-old child deserved to be roasted alive.
Yeah, that's like what 5 out of the 7 signs of a serial killer. So Torch actually did us a favor.
Oh yeah,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
You're probably right. That kid probably would have climbed a bell tower, and we don't need that to happen again. All right, what did we get? We haven't even started this movie yet.
Yeah,
We're
we
like
did.
20 minutes into it.
We got the rancid eggnog.
Okay, yeah. So all right. So things that have changed. Andre Toulon wakes up looking like the Invisible Man raided Doctor Doom's wardrobe.
Yes.
Or no, the first thing we see is his hands. He looked like Dr. Claw. 'cause
Dr.
it's
Claw,
just-
yeah.
I'll get you, Gadget. Yeah. So as far as things this movie does that no other movie that's not in continuity with any other Puppet Master movie is you have the stuff looking like the disgusting eggnog. So the premise is, we didn't even get to this. We derailed ourselves. Is they want to, they were the power was wearing off. The juice was wearing off. So they bring Andre Toulon back to life, who had blown his damn head off. So I'm guessing those wrappings and that hat were to keep his, his head from not whistling.
He wasn't running.
He's on the beach or on those cliffs. There's winds all over those cliffs. Yeah. Surprised he didn't catch his cape and blow his bony ass away. I guess he's just full of embalming fluid and worms at this point. So
True.
but they bring him back in order to make more of this the serum, and he's like, but he seemed to be kind of bartering with him. It's like, don't worry, I'll bring you guys back to your old forms, or like, does that mean rejuvenate them and make them healthy again as the puppets? Because he kind of says at one point in time, will be our traveling review again. So I guess they just want to keep going on as the puppets and not get put back into giant creepy marionette bodies.
Right.
Also,
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really get much into that.
it is a little convoluted, I guess.
It
What do you got?
was.
It was, yeah. They do mention when they're dissecting Drillhead,
Tunneler?
Tunneler, that
His name's
he
Tyler?
Tunneler.
Oh, our bad.
Well, he did stumble in the hallway outside the bedroom door,
Yeah.
and she did call out to him, and there was fear in her voice. And she pulled the covers tighter. He pressed against the door, and he was going to be with her tonight.
I was following you. I was like, some of that did happen. And I was like, wait, that didn't happen. And then as soon as you said, I'm like, you're making Toadies references. That worked most of the way through. Jesus.
And that song is called
Drillhead.
by the Toadies. And it's actually who this character is based off of.
Even though the movie came out like 6 or 7 years earlier.
They're collecting brains to make the goo, but a group of paranormal investigators show up, or skeptics. They say they're with a government group that researches paranormal stuff. So I guess they're government paid skeptics who go and debunk stuff or try and get evidence on it. I don't know. It's kind of like
they never talked about what was going on in that place in the first place.
Well, they did. They said that the guy for Ron White from the last movie was the only survivor, and that he went insane and ended up in psych ward or whatever. Because that's one of the other notes. I was like, why do these bad sequels always have to undo the happy ending for the protagonist in the last movie? So he ended up in a psych ward, and I guess the woman who owned the place and brought the dead dog back to life at the end of the first movie, I guess she doesn't own it anymore. Did she go crazy too?
Yeah, I don't know.
So the paranormal investigators are there.
So the paranormal investigators are there, yes.
Vic
And
said key don't work. According to my notes.
They bring in a psychic, and the psychic immediately is like, I saw 2 puppets in my room, and then runs out. And they're like, where? And they go upstairs with the cameras and zoom in on a couple of ragdolls that ain't doing shit. Someone broke the Maltese Falcon when they weren't in the room. But like almost immediately after that, the psychic's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here because we're all gonna die. Like, I'm gonna go pack my shit and get the hell out of here. I'm creeped out, which is honestly the right choice.
Yeah.
But then Pinhead grabs her ankle, and then she falls over, is immediately immobilized.
Yeah.
Like she's like one of those fainting goats.
Yeah.
Like she just seized up and fell over. And then Jester puts a rag over her mouth, and they take the time to drag her out. Like they're going to hold her hostage. They're going to use her for something. She's going to be alive later, which again, spoiler alert, we just see her dead later on in the dumbwaiter. They're just dragging her dead body somewhere else.
Yeah. And then other than that, there's no
this is completely useless as far as the whole just tying her up and dragging her off bit goes.
Yeah. Also, the paranormal investigators had cameras and everything all over the place. Nobody decided, let's roll back the tape a little bit and just see
where she went.
Yeah. Maybe we'll find 2 little critters dragging her down the hallway. I don't know. Just a wild idea.
That immediately is what they do when they're in the next scene.
Yeah, they do that next. So apparently the psychic lady doesn't matter, whatever. We're glad she's gone.
We forgot to talk about the granny panty shot.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah, as they're dragging this 60-year-old actress out of the room We have to get an upskirt shot of her in her panties as she's flailing around. Because that's when she decides to fight back, is when Pinhead's dragging her out of the room. Finally, she decides to show some life instead of just laying there and let herself get tied up. But, like, I would be like, listen, guys, I'm like 70. Have a little bit of dignity and let me wear a pantsuit or something. We don't need to see her granny panty. So, yeah, all right. So we got the paranormal investigators, which is we've got dime store Gerard Butler.
Yep.
We've got slutty Courtney Cox.
Yep.
We've got bargain basement Uma Thurman and her brother, bargain basement Alex Winter / the human personification of Boomhauer.
Yeah. Just like Boomhauer, yeah.
He looks just like Boomhauer, but he kind of looks and acts and moves like Alex Winter, but a little bit stretched out. He's acting kind of dickish, and she mentions he's got an alcohol problem. Then later on, we see him in bed with like setting down like one of those giant like sifters of wine or whatever. It's like, how do you drink? Like,
he's already laying down. He's already pulling down. You can't drink like that laying down. Trust me, I've tried.
It would be funny if he had like a crazy straw.
He goes like the glasses that circles down the eyes.
Yeah. So he's drinking it that way. He's laying in bed, and this is almost immediately after they kidnap the psychic lady, and she says she's going to book. And Tunler runs in and just drills him in the damn face.
Right in the head, yeah.
So Boomhauer and Uma Thurman are brother and sister. And before they even gets tunneled in the face, they just like, oh, there was something on the screen because we got slutty Courtney Cox was distracting Gerard Butler, who was supposed to be monitoring the cameras. And they rewind a little bit and see Tunler just standing in the doorway and runs inside with their
look right at the camera, then go in.
Yeah, give it one of these, and then go inside. You know, it goes back to that's something I do like about this movie though. It's something we complained about in the first movie. It's like these are like giant 2 foot, 3 foot tall puppets. Like they're like the size of like little people. They're not
menacing in any way.
Well, it's not that. It's just they're not
small.
They're not discreet.
Yeah.
You can see them coming. They're the size of a house cat, at least, like you said last time, Gaten. Like you're gonna notice a house cat running around.
Yeah.
So that's something they like about this. They're seen almost immediately. First thing the psychic lady is like, "There's 2 in my damn room," and then immediately after that, they catch one on videotape. Didn't take long at all to notice that these things were here.
Yep.
What was stupid is staying there and then because Tunler runs inside and drills Alex Winter in the face, and then Gerard Butler runs in and throws Tunler against the wall and smashes him with the lamp a couple of times. No more Tunler for the rest of the movie because then they start dissecting him. That's what you're saying. They're like, he's low on juice that we should know nothing about. I should say that because they did do a little exposition saying that they know about the Andre Toulon and all that good stuff, just like the notes from Alex or Ron White from the first movie.
Yeah.
I think they were kind of investigating his claims and things like that.
Yeah.
So they knew all about the case, as it were. So we get a couple of like obligatory death scenes in this where we get outside of just the psychics, we had them like kind of traveling. So they needed brains, and one of the things he was, Andre Toulon's like, we need human brains, and apparently the puppets they set up early on, the psychic as she was coming to the hotel got lost and met the bum from Back to the Future and his wife Kathy Bates, living on their farm. They mentioned that their hogs and their donkey have been mutilated, so the puppets have been stealing animal things because apparently even though they're immortal, like invincible puppets, walking terribly far is just too much of a fucking hassle. So like, there are humans around. No, fuck this shit.
I guess we'll just use this goat.
Even though there were 2 human beings living in that place, they could have killed, which they go back and do.
They do later. Yeah, they go back like, oh wait, there's people here.
So yeah, the leech woman kills the bum in his sleep, and then the Kathy Bates gets up and burns her and throws her in the and eventually she's killed too. But like something that's revealed in the third movie, another thing that this movie is just batshit insane about is Andre Toulon at some point in time decides that Uma Thurman is the reincarnation of his wife, and that rather than give the serum to the puppets, he's just going to put her in one of those dummy bodies with him, and they can both live forever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that's probably why the puppets turned.
Yeah, that is why the puppets turned, because he double-crossed them. But, and we'll get into that when we get to the end of it, like why that's that's dumb also, and how that doesn't really work out either. But one of the things we find in the next movie is that I said, there's a spirit, a person actually inhabiting all these dolls,
Mhm.
each doll, and the person inhabiting Leech Woman, the one that just got burned in the fire, that Andre Chalon's like, oh, another sacrifice. It's so sad that one of you died, but it'll be okay. We'll all be good, once we make it through this.
Mhm.
The person inhabiting Leech Woman was his wife
In the original one,
in the third movie, because
In
the
the
third
third
movie,
one.
the third movie is a prequel. Everything in this movie is just backwards from what we learn later and what will become kind of canon. But what we do get is we get the origin of the serum, which is him going to Egypt and getting it from some mystic, which is something that continues on. We got the introduction of the Mephisto doll, which we do, I think, comes back later on. I don't know. It made enough of an impression that they made a toy out of it, and I bought the damn thing. So there is that. And then this movie was directed by the effects artist from the first movie. So we actually got, I think it's a split second, but it's probably the best effect shot in any Puppet Master movie. And that's when eventually,
Popped off the bed.
yeah, he kills dime store Gerard Butler and then goes after
Courtney Cox,
slutty
yeah.
Courtney Cox. And when he jumps off the bed and just starts slashing or whatever. Best effects shot in the movie.
It was
And
actually
best
really well,
effects shot in the entire series, I gotta say. It's a split second, but it's definitely worth just looking at just because it looks cool. And was something we stopped because we kind of derailed talking about the love scene earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Uma Thurman and Flash Gordon had their love scene, but Courtney Cox is the one who has to show the titties off.
Yeah, and her granny panties. Yeah,
Yeah, she gets because like they have
I think
the
it was
love
the same
scene between the
ones.
two of them, which has got no nudity in it, which is fine. We didn't need nudity in the first one. We don't need in that. And then they cut to Courtney Cox in bed with her top off. She rolls over before we get just a nice shot of them. Then she stands up with her 1990s high waisted underwear that came up to under her armpits. And yeah, it was like, so she gets the love scene and you get the nudity. All right, I guess that's the fair trade off.
yeah, and her underwear looked a lot like the one the old lady was wearing too.
They were probably shared. They could only afford one set of underwear. All the rest
Well,
of them
no. Underwear usually come out in 3-packs, don't they?
Oh yeah, it's true. They just
Yeah.
bought like a Hanes
Yeah.
set and just passed them out. I guess that third pair was on Uma Thurman,
Yeah.
Just in case.
just in case. They show the flashback to Egypt. They kind of make it like he doesn't really want to take the magic potion, and he's like, I'm not a sorcerer. I'm a master craftsman. And his wife's like, and the sorcerer is like, oh, but you'll be poor if you don't do this because technology is changing. People are interested in your marionettes, and you don't want to be poor, do you? And his wife's like, do it for the children. But really the implication is she's greedy and she wants him not to be poor and they want to have money. I don't know why they made everyone such mustache twirling villains in this. And like, it
There's a
happens
lot
again
of
later
that.
on.
Yeah, there's a lot of that with most of these characters.
But like his wife again was a very sweet, selfless woman who put herself in the way of a bullet and got killed for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So or tried to fight off an SS guy and got shot for it. So I mean, their personifications of this one, even though this one comes first, is just kind of. I don't like the idea of Andre Toulon being the bad guy because they didn't establish that in the first movie. He was kind of sympathetic and talked about the puppets in the way that they're portrayed in the third, fourth, and fifth movies and things like that. Again, this movie just was doing its own damn thing. But we got a couple of cool moments out of it, like a little child being burned alive by the puppet. We didn't get to see it. We got the implication, and that was enough because that kid was a little shit.
Yeah, he deserved it. Yeah.
I've never wanted a child to die more. Well, yeah, she ends up getting captured by Heo Toulon, who kind of reveals himself, and she's like,
I already know who you are.
which is ridiculous. Why the fuck would she know? Oh yeah, because she's got the case. I forgot. Never mind. She's got the whole case study on this thing.
Yeah, she had the
So-
whole case study.
But why would you guess that this dead guy brought himself to life unless you bought hook, line, and sinker that this thing was all true? Which
You
I
already
guess you
said-
kind of would. You saw the puppets, right?
Yeah,
So,
she already
all
saw
right,
the
well, fair
puppets.
enough. Fair enough. I retract my complaint. Makes sense. This whole movie did, though, especially those scenes where she was tied up and they had like the harsh lighting on the eyes and the
Yeah.
shadow. Totally looked like a Tales from the Crypt.
It did.
It did look like the nine.
Even
the
like
early
their
90s.
delivery, their lines too during those scenes, it seemed really like early '90s HBO.
made for TV movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. This whole thing did have a look of maybe, which honestly for Full Moon is about as good as it's going to get. So, and again, they tried with the stop motion. I think this was the director's first time directing something because he was an effects guy. So, I mean, there was not, he tried something with that one black and white shot if it wasn't just a complete accident.
I don't know. That's the thing I'm most curious about because that was really random.
Yeah. Again, I don't think it would have been as jarring if there had been other things like that throughout the film, other little artistic elements or stylistic choices, which there was none of. It was just alone on its own little island. And it was a cool shot. I would put that as a picture up somewhere. It was neat, him staying there almost looking like a plague doctor against that background and stuff. It was neat looking. It just, where the fuck did that come from? Who decided to make an art house film all of a sudden?
Because they're like, yeah, let's do that. No, it's not. Next.
But he captures the girl and he's going to put himself into, he shows her these bodies that they're going to put themselves into. And he puts himself into one of them.
One for her.
Yeah, his and hers creepy life-size ventriloquist dummies.
So weird. But the teeth were fake. Like
everything.
The rest of the mouth was the real thing. And like watching the normal human tongue moving inside of like what's clearly like wooden mouth. Weird.
It was weird.
It was weird.
But he puts himself into this new body and he's going to forcibly put Uma Thurman into the other one so that he and his wife, because he thinks she's the reincarnation of his wife, they can be together. Meanwhile, Flash Gordon is tearing ass through the hotel and just whipping the shit out of every puppet he comes across and throwing it across the room, whipping puppet ass left and right until he gets up to gets up to Toulon's lair.
Yeah.
But in which case, and then Toulon puts a knife, stops trying to force feed her goo, instead puts a knife to I'll cut her. It's like, no, you won't.
Yeah, no, you're
not. You got.
That's apparently your wife. So no, you're not.
Well, he's got to feed because he slit his own throat to do the thing. He got to slit her throat of that body to transfer to the other one. But I don't think she had drank any of the goo because she spits it out and he's like, we only got one goblet of that crap left, right? Now keep that in mind. I only got one goblet of that shit left. And he's like telling the guys, all the puppets, is like, sorry guys, it's not enough to go around for the rest of y'all, but I told you, your sacrifice isn't in vain. You gave me my wife back. I appreciate that. Y'all all die, but I got my wife back. Thank you guys.
Yeah, because I forgot. Yeah, she spits it out all over Blade. Yeah.
And Blade's like,
Blade looked at us like, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah.
How dare you waste that? We don't want your time. That's what they also
said. It was like, that's 2 months right there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. So yeah, that makes perfect sense why they'd be pissed off. Yeah.
Spent a lot of time trying to get that stuff.
Yeah.
But they turn the bad guy, kill the bad guy, and Flash Gordon and Uma Thurman completely forget that they have a dead mother and a dead sibling because they just want to.
Oh, yeah, because the dead sibling that got his head drilled out, they just put him in the freezer.
Yeah, he is still in there.
And he's still in that freezer, because,
right next to the Salisbury steaks.
Yeah. Just hanging out there in the freezer.
And the Hungry Man dinners.
He's on the bottom rack.
Yeah, the bottom rack, yeah.
Well, you don't want him to drip anything.
No.
Nah. They might need to get to those vegetables or something later.
Probably want to put a pan underneath them unless you got one of those floors with a drain on the bottom.
They probably do.
I imagine they would.
They probably would, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I find it so ridiculous how quickly they just forget that they had relatives or that these people just died.
I thought it was funny that the immortal body that he wanted to transfer them all into, they smash when the puppets turn on him, they cut him and he starts just shooting goo out everywhere. And then first of all, he's got these eyes that aren't going to fit in anywhere.
No.
He shoots goo out as soon as a nicked fire hose the second he's cut. And then as soon as he falls down, they hit his hand with a hammer and just smashes.
The whole thing just shatters.
Yeah, it's porcelain.
Yeah, it just shatters everywhere.
Duke's hand from Happy Gilmore was more sturdy.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So I don't know how immortal these bodies exactly were. It's all right, we can live forever as long as we don't go up and down stairs. So after they turn on him and Uma Thurman and Flash Gordon just, I don't know, fuck off, protagonist wrap up.
Yeah.
I did not pay attention.
After for those two, yeah, whatever.
Didn't pay attention, doesn't matter. They leave the series and the movie forever, and who cares? And then we cut to the reanimated corpse of his mother, I guess, or did they put? Or was that the puppet? It was the puppet body.
That was the other puppet body.
It was the female puppet body. But who did they put in it?
That
mom.
was the mother. Yeah,
They put the mother in there.
they put the mother.
the
That one
psychic
that,
lady.
Yeah, the one that they forgot about.
The granny panty lady
Yeah.
from earlier. So, why does she become a mustache twirling villain once she got put into the puppet body? Because she's driving with the puppets, and again, like you said, she was dressed like a preschool parachute,
Yeah,
and she's in like a VW microbus that says like, you know, Aunt Kathleen's
puppet show.
puppet show for kids. We promise you won't get raped here, or whatever on the side. Free puppy dogs and hugs and bad touches. Like, and then she like lays out this like it's worse than a Bond villain. She's sitting there in torches in the front. She looks at him. She's like, "Let's go entertain children at troubled schools for troubled children, and we can have some real fun with them. And even if someone does see something spooky, who will believe these disturbed children?" Okay, several questions here about this scene. Because first of all, it goes nowhere. We never pick this thread up again. It is abandoned. It is forgotten about. It is done. So, why did she become evil and decide she wanted to go screw with children? Why the hell would the puppets who dug Toulon up after they could have presumably been running around this whole time?
Yeah,
They could have dug him up at any time. They decided that, oh shit, we're gonna die. We need him to. This guy is the guy who can. We can probably go find, like, instead of going and try and find some average person to just because they need a set of hands or whipping it up themselves,
Mhm.
they dug up the guy who could make the serum. Right.
Makes sense.
One thing of serum left. They took mom and put her in the woman body. Right. Does mom know how to make more serum?
Yeah, they didn't go into that whatsoever.
Because if not, the puppets are fucked in 6 years or however long it was between now and then. Because Toulon shot himself in the 40s. That was probably the last time they got a bump of serum.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They make reference to it being 50 years. He keeps calling it half a century. So this was shot in 90. Let's say it happened in 46. Being generous. 48. Being even more generous. They got, 6 to 8 years left before they go away or they stop being active.
Yeah.
Or the juice runs out. Their Energizer battery needs to be replaced.
yeah. You figure they would have, I don't know, unless they used most of it for themselves and then
Well, it was
topped off for her, but they didn't show anything, so you really don't know. They made it seem like they just put all of it into her and happily ever after the end.
yeah. So I don't know. You kind of cut off your nose to spite your face there, attacking Andre Toulon, I suppose. But I guess if it wasn't going to make you anymore anyway, it didn't really matter. So
Yeah,
because you could have been like, take it for your wife. That's fine, but we got time to make more. Just make more.
yeah.
We'll help you. If this was part of the deal, you want to add this to your deal. If you want Darth Vader us, man, that's fine. But don't Han Solo us in the process, okay?
While I didn't like it, I also didn't hate it.
The movie in general.
Yeah, just in general. It kind of sits in that gray meh area for me.
Again, as I keep saying, the first two movies in this series are fun because of the puppets and the animation and puppet kills, especially when you're a teenager
Mm-hmm.
and before all the spectacles start making things less fun to watch. But the next three, I think, especially because there's the same actor playing Andre Toulon all the way through. There's a clear cut continuity that kind of really establishes the lore of Puppet Master. They're all just better movies, I think. If I remember it correctly, we could get in there and watch them. They could be just fucking terrible. Like
That's
these
all.
were.
Only one way to find out, I guess, right?
Stay tuned. I don't know. The only time I was really ever just absolutely disappointed was by the time I got to Curse of Puppet Master, and they were literally taking scenes from them, like that effect shot of him jumping off the bed. That just cut into Curse of Puppet Master, and like one of the few puppet shots they have of their own. It's like literally like the puppet, like someone's holding the puppet's legs under the table while they
Oh God.
walk it forward. Like it's bad. Like we could do that with my Blade doll here. Man, that was Puppet Master too, and it was. I think it's more entertaining than the first movie, though.
It was entertaining. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I mean, again, this one's batshit insane. It doesn't. None of the plot strings, none of the personalities match the characters as we'll come to know them. None of the plot strings go anywhere. It's pure insanity as far as that goes. But we get Torch for the first time, who I keep forgetting was introduced before Six Shooter because Six Shooter becomes much more prevalent. I think later on because I don't know if Torch ever comes back. This might have been his. They may all be there by the fourth and fifth one too. I don't think he's in the third one though. Anyway, I'm digressing again and again and again. These movies are fun, and they're like the Nightmare on Elm Street. They're just a big part of my childhood or my teenage years and things like that. This one's worth watching again because of the Doctor Doom mummy and his bad, vaguely European accent that's supposed to be German.
It changes, yeah.
Yeah, Tunneler is, obviously, not Tunneler. Torch is a cool new addition.
Yeah.
Blade doesn't do a whole lot in this one, though, unfortunately. And we actually do get to go to a different location. I mean, it's a Redneck's rundown shack, but it still is, more locations in this one hotel like we normally get.
Right.
I do recommend this movie if you like the series or if you want to get into the series. I recommend watching the first two, but don't give up. It's hard to do that. It's hard to say, like, watch the first two movies in a series and be like, all right, this series is terrible. I don't want to watch anymore. It's like, no, just get through them. The first one is just kind of slow and boring, but it doesn't do anything that's going to hurt later continuity. The second one is just, this one's just weird.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
As far as, the rest of the lore and the story goes. But a lot of deaths happen really quickly early on, and then we just get just batshit insane plots.
Yeah.
About bringing yourself back to life with evil eggnog and frontal lobes of children's brains. And I don't know, man. This is what happens when you write a script while huffing paint thinner.
Yeah, it doesn't really work out too well.
Well,
I mean, it worked out.
It works out. It works out sometimes. I mean, that's how Fast and the Furious movies were written. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Ken, you got any thoughts on this before we get out of here?
No, I do enjoy that it was a lot quicker as far as the deaths go and stuff like that.
Yeah, it got into the action a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And it helped the pace move along a little bit better.
It did.
So this one felt shorter, didn't drag nearly as much. The first one kind of drags. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us here on this episode of Ramble On Movie Review. Please please subscribe. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, all that shit. We don't actually post on there, but apparently at the end of these videos, that's the thing you're supposed to say. Final thoughts?
Nope. Do the thing.
All right. Play me out, Johnny, and say hi to your mother for me. Gloves and a cape you would have to have custom made because nobody sells those things.
You're not going to buy that somewhere.
Villains R Us or something.